Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over 3 ways to go up a hill. One way is when you have railings on either side and you can pull through. Another way is if it's not too steep and you can just go forward. Another way is if it's really steep and you go backwards. So we're going to go through all 3 and we're going to start with just going forward using the handrails. So here you can see rail. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's 2. If there's just one, what you can do is you can kind of pull on both, and it doesn't necessarily make it too much easier, but it does. It depends on the hill, on like the steepness, the grade of the hill, and if you have a handrail like this, you can kind of pull yourself forward like that. And if you have 2, and they're close enough together, you can kind of lean yourself back and do kind of one of those. Or what you can do, these aren't lined up that well actually, but if they are lined up well or enough, you can pull through like that. Or you can push off like that. So there's a few variations, and whatever works for you, but this is it's a pretty nice way, because I'll show you here. Like if I'm just going forward like this, I get to a certain speed with a certain amount of effort, but if I'm pulling myself through and then I like to just push like that, you can get going pretty fast. And it's nice, it's fun. And so now, the second way to do it, the brute force way is just to go like this. And what you might notice is, if this is a really steep hill, it's not gonna be fun, because you'll notice that on most of your pushes, your front wheels will pop up really easily. And this is for a few reasons, physics basically, but it helps if you lean forward into it and you can put some of your weight, instead of being centered like here through your back wheels, some of your weight can be put on the front wheels. So here, if I'm like this, I can still pop up, but it's a lot harder. So leaning forward, what this does is basically it helps put the weight like further up the hill in a way. And I mean, it's this whole thing of like explaining it, but basically just believe me, and like leaning forward, it helps a lot. And if it's a super steep hill, you can imagine like a hill like this steep. Well, that might be too steep, but leaning forward can really help, like even leaning forward like that. The only issue if you lean forward too far, if there's a little bit of a bump, because of the weight that you're putting on the front wheels, it'll make them harder to go over the bump, and you might get tripped up and fly forward out of your chair. So just make sure you don't do that. The third way of going up a hill, and this works very well if you're going up a steep hill. When I was in Australia, pretty accessible, but not the most accessible. I was at a beach, and they had a kind of like an asphalt, just like hill that goes down to the beach, like the sand basically. And this asphalt was sandy because it was near the beach. I was trying to go up this hill. I had to go backwards because of how steep it was, but because it was sandy, it took me like a solid 5 minutes, and this wasn't a big hill, to get up. It was slightly embarrassing. No one helped me, and that was weird, because usually people are very helpful, but my wheels kept slipping. But going forward was not even an option, because that would have been way too difficult. The thing is, and I'm digressing here, but the thing is, when you're going up a hill, what's happening is like you push yourself, and then you're like, if it's a steep enough hill, you push yourself and you're not going to continue rolling how I just did. What's going to happen is that you push yourself, and as far as your hands move the wheel, that's as far as you're going. And then when you let go, so you're going to have to really be fast on the comeback, and then push, fast on the comeback and push. So the reason it can take a long time to go up hills sometimes is that you're only moving forward when you push. And when you stop pushing, you're not going to kind of continue gliding after you push. So that's one thing just to take note of, is sometimes one hand at a time, like this, that way you're always pushing one of the wheels forward, whereas when you go like this, you're pushing both forward, but then comes a point where neither is being pushed forward. So here, there's always a wheel being pushed. So now we're gonna do the third way. The third way, going backwards, is when it's a particularly steep hill. And this one, you can lean back, which really helps, because you're kind of doing this rowing. Oh geez, I just kind of, when you can lean back into it, because this is the same concept of like leaning forward when you're going this way. Now you're leaning back because you're leaning up the hill, and you're just kind of rowing it backwards. And it works very well, except for you can't see. So that, just be careful of that. Make sure you kind of look back as you're going, or if you have someone with you, they can tell you if you're about to hit something. So that's it. Those are the 3 ways, the best 3 ways to get up a hill. Hey, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, then you're probably already subscribed. But if not, then now's a perfect time. Be sure to leave a comment on any future videos that you would like to see, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Share it with 1 billion people, maybe 5. Whatever you'd like. See you in the next one.